I want to speak about Extreme E because they have released a sort of their format. So I remember once upon a time we did talk about Extreme E. We sort of explained their race format, but they've made some tweaks and they've added some sort of more information to that and maybe answer some of our questions that we had from the first time that we went through it. So I'm going to go through it very quickly. So there's going to be 5 events in one season. So 5 events, so across all the continents effectively. 2 drivers, 1 male, 1 female. So that was the big thing that came out quite recently, that both, it's going to be a gender, I don't know if that's a gender neutral is the right term for that, but both genders will be in the car. So each team, so as we were saying, Jamie Chadwick, who's in our magazine, that's probably a really good chance for her to show off her skills in that series. I'm pretty sure she'll be picked up by one of the teams. There's going to be 2 days of racing. So there's going to be a qualifying races probably like on a Saturday and then the finals on the Sunday. 2-lap races. We're expecting them to be about 5-6 miles a lap. So fairly long, but obviously we're not racing on a racetrack here, so 5-6 miles through a rainforest, 5-6 miles through an ocean or a desert might take considerably longer than a track. So it sounds short, but I don't think it's actually short, if that makes sense, because obviously it's completely different conditions, so it might be quite slow. And they have a hyperdrive system, which I don't know if they're going to give like a biggest point or something like that, but whoever gets the longest jump in the first lap, not the second lap, the first lap. And the drivers alternate, I forgot to mention that. So after lap 1's finished, they're driving somewhere to the pits, I assume, or wherever, and then they switch drivers and the other driver gets in. So there's 1 car per 2 drivers. So before we go on to the actual format, what do you make of that? Like the 2-lap system, 2 races, 5 events, hyperdrives, 16-kilometer races. What do you make of that?
I'm very confused already. But no, I think it sounds like a good idea. I'm not sure how they're gonna. I'm assuming it's going to be a bit like a rally, so they'll go one after another. So otherwise, it will just be a 15-minute show. Yeah, I mean, you might as well be on for about half hour. But in terms of broadcasting, but no, if they're doing it like a rally, then yeah, do it. Do it one after another, then yeah, it's going to be a little bit more of a spectacle, and it's going to be like an extreme Super Bowl kind of thing, which is going to be quite exciting. But yeah, I mean, I will probably just watch it and just look very confused for like the first 10 minutes or so, and then I might actually understand when it is whenever it's coming to. I assume it's coming some point next year.
Yeah, January. January should be the first race. So we talked about it actually being a rally, because that's what we wanted to sort of. That's what we thought it was when we first talked about this. But the interesting thing is 2-lap races. So I'm like, well, it's probably going to be like a rallycross thing then. And obviously, as I said, we don't know how long these races are going to be. And there's multiple races during this. It's not just one race, which are going to. Because you were confused there, right? Get ready to get even more confused, and I'm going to try my best to sort of explain the system, but we thought it was complicated with the crazy race and people jumping from different semi-finals to get into a final, and it seems more complicated now than it was previously. So basically there are going to be 2 qualifying races, okay, and basically the best people who at this, I don't know, there's many questions surrounding these qualifying races and how it will actually work, but from what we've gathered so far is that obviously the quickest ones will go into the quicker semi-final and the slower ones go into the slower semi-final. But of the quicker semi-final, there will be 3 out of those 4 teams, so there's 8 teams, 4 will go into the first semi-final, so the quickest 4 out of those 2 qualifying races go into the top semi-final, and 3 go through into the final. So 3 will progress, 1 gets knocked out. Whereas the slower semi-final, there is like the semi-final and the winner of that, which is the crazy race. So remember, if you've been watching the show, if you remember previously, there was this crazy race which contained 6 drivers, and the winner of that went into the final. And the semi-finals were from the quicker drivers, so they've changed it slightly. So therefore,
if you've been affected by anything that Jack's just said in the last 3 minutes, there's going to be a helpline in the description.
Yeah. As I said, it's quite confusing, but I'm, as I said, doing my best to sort of explain it. So then the slower semi-final, the winner of that, which is now the crazy race, is that slower semi-final, I believe, then progresses to the final, and then you've got the final with the top 3 from the semi-final 1 and the winner of the crazy race from semi-final 2 that goes into the final, and there we go, someone wins, and the winner is the winner. So complicated. Like, I literally had to read it 4 times to try and make sense of it myself. I still don't fully understand it. As I said, there's still many questions. Like, how is this? It looks like rallycross. It looks like they're taking a sort of a rallycross style heats, basically. Lots and lots of mini heats to get to a final heat, effectively. And many qualification ramifications and many big words to sort of, like, get to the final. But what do you make of that? I know I hope you listened. I hope you... I banged the microphone there, sorry. But I hope you sort of absorbed that in all my teaching capacity and is able to tell me what you've just understood.
No. I'm very confused by this. I'm gonna have to look it up after the. I'm gonna have to look it up after the show as well. No, so there's 2 semi-finals.
Yep.
And then the top 3 from those semi-finals, they go into. So the top final, and then there's the crazy race, and then the crazy race, the top 3 go into the final as well.
No. Confusing. So the top 3 from the first semi-final qualify. But in the second semi-final, from the slowest lot, the winner. So only 1 person goes into final. So there's 4 cars in the final. 3 from the first semi-final and 1 from the second semi-final.
Okay. So the second semi-final is the slowest semi-final, and then that's the crazy.
And that's the crazy race.
The second semi is the crazy one.
Yes, that's the crazy one, because all hell to get first place to get into the final. So it's basically last chance saloon. That one. But yeah, that's extremely. So that literally came out 20 minutes before we were about to record, and we thought, well, we've talked about it, so we've decided it would make sense for us to then mention it. But it is confusing. There's still so many questions. So they've, it's going to be like one of those. I think it's been pushed back. I think 22nd of January at Dakar was supposed to be their first round. I think that's going to be pushed back into February, March of 2021. Obviously because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and they just being extra careful, I assume, and making sure they're definitely safe to get their championship up and running. So I feel like to understand it, we're going to need to see it, because saying it doesn't really make sense. Like, obviously, with some championships, you're shaking your head there hilariously. But some championships, it's easy. Like, Formula E is pretty easy to explain. Like, qualifying, it's a group qualifying system from championship order. So championship goes first, to the last goes out last. And then the top 6 qualify for Super Pole. And then you've got Super Pole, and then the fastest person is on pole. And then you have a race for 45 minutes plus 1 lap. Pretty easy to explain. Whereas, Extreme E, oh my god, it's unbelievably hard to explain. But fingers crossed, I hope you understood some of that.
Yeah,
there will be a test next week. So do your revision, and we'll come back to that.